can I actually launch without followers?
There's a misconception going about, I would say, where people think that they cannot launch successfully or cannot put something out there if they don't have an existing following, which we will see shortly. That is not true. In fact, I can think of a very recent question that we received in the community where a creator she'd signed up, she finished a little bit of finding her niche, and she was all set to give up because she said that she'd been trying to crack social media for years. And she also went as far to say that the algorithm hates her. And so how is this going to work? Was her question. It was just that, how am I going to do this? I have no following. What do I do?
Yeah, I can echo that across all our customers and Plus as well. They come in and it's a huge worry and a huge concern that they want to launch something. They've poured their heart into it. Their passion is there. They just don't have the big social following that they see like their idols in their industry have. And it's not about having 1 million followers, right? It's about having 10 people that really want what you've got to give them. So what we would do in Plus is we would just actually take them through the Expert and Niche Challenge. We would say, what's your niche? Like, let's focus on that. Like, make sure that what your offer is exactly what your target market needs. Understanding the pain points of the customer so that you can speak to them, so that when someone sees it, they relate immediately. If you can correctly identify the problem of your customer, your ideal customer, you don't even need to tell them you have the solution. They'll trust you already. They'll already know that you are the person that understands them best. So that's what we say. And, you know, as an objection handling to not having 1 million followers, everyone has an email list somehow, some way, even if it's your personal email list. There's lots of ways to ask and network, even if it's your local community.
To add to that, I think one thing which I learned as well is if you change the word algorithm to audience, it becomes very powerful. So not the algorithm hates you, your audience hates you. And with that, you stop deflecting that this mystical thing that someone developed in the basement is like holding you hostage. No, if your audience doesn't like you, that means that what you just said, Jarret, maybe the stuff that you have put out there so far is not really hitting the nail on the head. So you have to work more on the pain points, on really getting the customers and really driving value for them. And if you do that, and you don't die in perfection, but you do it in a rapid prototyping style where you learn and work closely with them and you iterate, at some point it will be of value. In the beginning it's not, but maybe then it is. And that's then when all of a sudden it clicks and you make the first sales and then you can scale it up to infinity.
Yeah. And I've seen that firsthand, like often, more than once, right? You have to just keep going at it. You have to be like, am I serving the customer? And importantly, like doing it with, what's the word? That you believe in yourself, to come across genuine, right? That coming across genuinely like beats any algorithm monster out there. If some people see you speaking the right pain points and you coming across as you genuinely there and care, that's when you are hitting the nail on the head.
Right. I interviewed $192 million creators, and I also always asked them, what's the secret to grow and convert your audience? And 90% have answered authenticity. But I'm curious, like, do you have a particular story in mind where someone came in, didn't get it, but then all of a sudden it worked?
I do, actually. So we had this one creator who she didn't have a social media presence at all. And she kept going though, and we kept encouraging her on the community, telling her to keep putting out her content. And she kept saying that I don't have any followers, or I haven't really posted anything from my Facebook. I don't even have LinkedIn. I've never tried it. So where do I find these followers? So she felt very discouraged, I would say, because she'd put her heart into her offer. But she kept going. And about a week later, she was trying to reach out to other networks, which she didn't think were customers, or she didn't see any potential in those people being her audience. And she didn't live in a big city. She lived in a fairly remote rural place. And she finally posted, she rang the bell in the community saying that I was looking in the wrong place. She was looking on social media where she found two of her first clients in her neighborhood. Like they turned out to be her neighbors who sent her emails saying that they came across something or they heard something through the grapevine in the neighborhood, and they were very interested in what she had to offer. So I see examples like this all the time where creators think that they should be finding their audience on social media, whereas they haven't really looked around them in their existing networks.
What means she rang the bell?
Ringing the bell in our community is celebrating a milestone. It can be getting your first client, making your first sale, or even doing something as simple as making your first reel or video for social media. We celebrate all milestones. We ring the bell.
As you're in a community all day, every day, how often does that happen?
Oh, it happens very often. I would say more than I would be able to articulate. So, what I love about our Passion Fighters community is that they come with this enthusiasm where no milestone is too small. So they come with a different skill set, right? Not everyone is as tech savvy as the other. So we have milestones ranging from made my first creative on Canva, or wrote my first newsletter, to just sold something for $5,000. So it's just that wide, which is why we hear the bell ringing all the time, because we're celebrating all milestones, whether small or big.
Okay. Let's say I did launch. I see all the people ringing the bell, and I got nothing. So what should I do?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That happens as well. And I have seen cases where the creator's done everything that was required of them in terms of the launch. So they've worked on the copy, they have the creatives going, and then it's day 3 of their launch and they've posted, I've done everything you asked, and crickets. I got nothing. I got no likes. I got no forms filled, no calls booked. What do I do? And I won't say we see this as often as we see the bell ringing, but it does happen. And it can be quite discouraging for people to see it work for someone else. And before they can go into the analyzing part of it, of maybe I did something wrong or how can I do this better, they go into the stage of giving up, where this is not for me or I can't do this. And that's where we come in, where we tell them that there might be something that's missing. And I'm sure Jarret has a lot to share on that.
I've seen this often, right? Obviously, I'm very close to the customers and our creators, and I think of one example that this person in particular actually had a social following, right? They had a decent amount, but going back to speaking to the audience correctly, right? Those followers that he had didn't mean anything for what he was trying to deliver. And he launched and he got crickets, and he launched and he got nothing. Like no one was liking it. But the thing was, he kept doing it, right? He didn't give up. He kept coming back to me. We would refine things. We would reformat the way he was saying things. We used a lot of AI for a bit of fun. And after, honestly, about a year and a half now, he's been in between other jobs as well. But we launched again recently, and he just got his first high paying client who's almost at the end of his first coaching program and wants more. He's also posted last week on socials, and people are commenting saying they're super interested in his booking sales calls, right? So he persevered, he kept going, he kept refining, and he's finally getting some traction. He's feeling good about it. He's getting the momentum with it now, and is resonating with the ideal customer that he wants to serve, right? That he knows he can serve best. And all that's happening now is, the way I see it is, it was like the lid has been open, right? Like the floodgates. That's the proper analogy, right? So it opened. He had his first sales call. We had a call before that, and he was scared, right? Super nervous to do it. He did it, and he closed. Now he's got these other sales calls booked, and he knows how he's done it before, so he knows how to do it. And it's just like this momentum they can start building. And I think the best thing here was perseverance, always reiterating, and having the accountability, whether it be on a one-on-one basis or whether it be in the Passion Fighters community with other creators or with Andrea.
Beautiful. I think, again, it's important to be real about that it didn't work. And the pain that comes with it, the emotional pain, like pain is ultimately weakness leaving the body. So you can celebrate that, be happy about it, because you will learn and grow. And I think doing a launch, failing, launching again, failing, and launching and then succeeding and selling high ticket, imagine the personal development that this person just has done, how much he has grown, so that someone else for high ticket likely wired him 3K, 5K, 10K in order to get something in return, because the other person believed that the return, what they get in return, is bigger than the money that they put in, right? So all of a sudden, he's able to actually deliver value, which he wasn't before. How much, like, that is such a fucking growth that this person just experienced, which is great for confidence, great for I don't know, for impacting others, for impacting themselves, for their life, for doing something of purpose in with whatever time they have. So I think, how beautiful is this to actually fail?
Yeah, no, I love that. Like if we go back to your question, right? Like you come in, you've launched, and you got nothing, and I hate that. You didn't get nothing. That's like almost an impossibility to get nothing. You got something. You learned. You're like, okay, this audience that I want isn't sitting here, or this audience that I'm trying to speak to doesn't speak this language I'm putting forward, right? So you've learned. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to change, and as I just showed with this creator in particular, at the end of it, it can work. You just have to learn and grow, and you don't get nothing. You get learnings.
It's a good segue. So let's say now I have a user, someone, or leads, or multiple users. How do I nurture them? How do I make sure that they stay happy?
Yeah, I've seen this happen, and this is a completely different problem to have, right? On one side, you have the people who are struggling to get the leads and they're putting themselves out there. And then on the other hand, you have people who've got the leads and they have people that they can talk to now. But how do you sell to them? How do you convince them that what you have is something that they need? And I can recall a very recent post that I saw in the community where this creator said that she'd reached out to about 60 people through her email list. And she wasn't expecting anything when she did that, but about 25 people showed interest in what she had to offer. And she said, okay, I have them in my app, but now what? What do I do? Where do I send them? What do I sell them? And the rest of the community was like, you have all of these people. How do you not know what to do now? But it just shows how our community is always at different points in their journey, where the problem is always unique to that position. And I'm sure Jarret has some great suggestions for people who have leads but don't know how to nurture.
Yeah, and just to that point, like it doesn't really matter the amount of leads, right? It's the same concept. You need to get them ultimately to be paying you something. Otherwise, why are you doing it, right? And nurturing them is an interesting one. And there's many ways to do it. But if you've got them in your app, you should be delivering content to them, probably some freemium version. You should also be having them an email list. You should be marketing to them through a nurture email sequence. As you get them in, you should be putting them in that sequence. The way I like to explain this to the Plus creators is it's about building trust, right? So to get them into your domain, you have to do the hard yards and socials or wherever you're doing that marketing. And you have to say, hey, I've got this, come in, I'll give it to you, right? And you deliver on that first promise. Then they come into the app and you say, thank you for being here. Here's something else, right? Or you can say, hey, I'm going to email you tomorrow something I think you're really going to like. And you deliver on that promise. So it's the whole time you're just creating these layers of trust. And then eventually there should be a warm enough audience that you can, depending what you want to sell, give them an offer or book them into a sales call.
Totally. I think one good interesting story here is I just had one on the $1 Million Creators podcast. Her name is Camilla, and she has just over 1,000 followers and is about to crack the $1 million mark with that. So there you can see how trust can really translate, even with a small amount of people, into a very, very significant business.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe let's double click on that. we talked about this person selling high ticket. So let's say I want to sell high ticket. What should I include in my high ticket program so that it's of value?
That's a question that we get often. So I just want to start by saying that we have so many creators who don't believe that they can sell high ticket, or rather, they don't believe that their users or their clients would want to pay a certain amount. And so they're constantly in a state of confusion of what do I offer, and if I'm offering, how do I price it? And from what I've noticed, they have a lot of content to offer. They have a ton of insights and expertise. But what they're lacking is structure in terms of what does a high ticket offer look like? Because it's, to many of them, it's new. And they have all of these insights, they have the expertise, but they don't know what an offer technically looks like. And that's something that we help them with the EUC, right? Where we tell them all the different kinds of formats in which they can offer their insights to our creators. But it puzzles me that being the expert that they are, they wouldn't know how to put that forward. And we've seen that in multiple cases where they have all the knowledge, but then they don't know how to package it.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree because we've been through it so much as well. But to me, with a high ticket offer, people are going to be paying a higher premium price because they're probably going to be wanting a piece of you, right? In most cases, right? Not all, there are always going to be edge cases, but in most cases, high ticket, you're going to have some form of your time there, right? Especially in the beginning on your first, second, third pancakes. So the way I like to do this in terms of like pricing, right, is like, cool, what is your time worth? Right. And sometimes people don't know that. They don't know what their hourly rate is either. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to earn a month? How much time do you want to be working? And we work backwards, right? So then they can start seeing that, okay, well, it's not about if my end user might perceive this too expensive. It's about valuing their time, right? It's about saying, okay, well, I don't want to earn less than this. I cannot. Otherwise, my family doesn't have food on the table. It's not about the end user. And then even going back to the first question, maybe it's choosing a slightly different niche, right? So that you can say they can afford it, right? And so many times creators have had this belief, we've pushed them to do it at a higher price, and they're shook at how many people uptake on a higher price point. And I've seen everything, right? From like $500 being high ticket to like $15,000 for a high ticket, right? People buy. People have the money to buy it if you got the right offer for them.
I have a small example to share here back from the days where I was one of the bigger instructors on Udemy, back in the days also where Udemy was cool. And there was a fellow instructor and he was selling a course for $30 and he had a satisfaction rating of 3.6. And then he decided to raise the price to 300, so 10x. And everything else stayed the same. So same content, same everything, no change, zero, nada. And he got a satisfaction score of 4.8. Satisfaction increased. And the logic here is that people put more money down. So they actually did the thing instead of putting it in a drawer and doing it some other time. And for that reason, because they did it, they got results. And they were really committed. And that then lead to more customer success, to more impact. And the high ticket actually enabled them to do that. But you also talked about pancakes. What are these pancakes and where can I learn more about them?
Oh, I love a pancake, and there's so many different phases to the pancakes. So when we're talking about pancakes, it's about what we teach in the Expert Unleashed Challenge, how to package and launch your first offer. And we say first pancake, second pancake, because just like on a Sunday morning, when you make your first pancake, it's not going to be the most perfect one, right? The second one's better than the first, the third's better than the second, and so on, until you've perfected it, of course. And why I've said there's so many different phases to it, because a creator of mine last week actually said to me, she's following the Expert Unleashed to the T, and we're like building and planning a little bit. So she said, I'm still making the batter for my first pancake. So we're in the batter making process, nearly ready to launch, and she's picked a date. So yeah, pancakes are a great way to look at offering your first, second, third offerings to your community.
Real quick, we love creator businesses. Well, a lot of people ask us, how can I start and scale a successful creator business? Is there a blueprint somewhere? And you know what? Passion.io has put together 3 blueprints that will help you. Blueprint number 1, the Expert Unleashed Challenge, which will help you to make your first $1,000. And 80% that complete the program will hit that goal. 80%. Blueprint number 2, Expert Growth. This program will help you to hit 10K a month. And blueprint number 3, the Creator MBA. This program will pair you with a seasoned business coach that holds you accountable on your journey to then hit $100,000 or more. So if you're interested, just click the link in the description below and you can go and start today. Back to the show. Nice. I think one thing I also want to stress and empathize here is you said that with high ticket, quite often they sell some of their personal time. And I think that's completely right, because even Tony Robbins, you want to work with him today, one-on-one, you pay $1 million and then you can work one-on-one with him, right? And you can also watch free content on YouTube, okay, right? But he ultimately is also down to sell his time. Point here is when you start out, especially with the pancakes, you actually work very closely one-on-one or in a small group with your customers. And with that, you understand who they really are, how they tick, what are their pain points, how to serve them better, how to serve them at the highest level. If you go straight into on-demand content that they can consume and then you hope you learn something from it and drive value, it's much harder. So you better first serve them, understand what the issues are, and once you get the same questions over and over again, then you can think about, okay, maybe I should create a video or something, a resource that I can then share as a link with them when the question comes the next time, which does the job for me. So you move slowly from selling time for money to selling product for money. And with that, you actually build a program which is proven by working with your customers to be working and impactful. And you can then go from high ticket to mid ticket to low ticket by selling these on-demand programs at lower price points. And the people that still want to work with you, they will still upsell, upgrade, and buy your high ticket stuff.
Yeah, that's like the recipe for success right there.
Maybe it's also good another question, right? So how do I sell high ticket? What's the best funnel?
So what's the best funnel? That's kind of maybe a tough one, because everyone has a different starting point where their customer base is, like with their eyeballs. But ultimately, it goes back to creating that trust, those levels of trust, and having that trust building, so that you come across with authenticity, that the customer is as warm as possible, right? But with high ticket, you're most likely going to want to do a sales call. And it doesn't have to be an hour-long sales call. You can keep it short and sweet, like a discovery call. In fact, that's probably better. Otherwise, you might speak yourself out of a sale. So high tickets, you most likely want a sales call. And I want to give a really good example about this, right? I had a customer and she still is selling 4 or 5 of these group setting programs each year. She sells out 40, 50 customers at like $2,500 a pop. Really successful. She also pre-recorded it, and it's evergreen at a cheaper price. Exactly what you were saying, Matt. What she did though, we set up a webinar for the sales funnel, and it was super successful. She used to get them onto the sales call and close. We changed it from a sales call to just a checkout page, and the numbers drastically dropped because of the price point super high. So she just turned back on the sales call. So yes, she got her time in the sales call, but she's making bank. She's making money, right? So it's worth her time up front. And yeah, so it's high ticket. You're going to want to build the trust, maybe offer the webinar, and then get them on a sales call, because you ultimately, as a creator, know your content best.
Let me double click on that. I believe some people come in and they're like, oh, let me create this course. And then I put a price on it and then I sell it and it will magically sell. And now we just spoke about sales calls. And not everyone is down and excited to do sales calls. Have you ever heard about that? And how can you get around that?
Oh, like not everyone's born to be a salesperson, right? But ultimately, if you're here and you're building an app with content, you need to sell something, right? You need to sell your content. I don't like looking at sales calls as sales calls, and I guess that's why people have called discovery calls or insert some clever word here. What I've seen work best with the customers that I've been working with, the creators, It's not about having a sales call and all these fancy sales scripts and these pitches. It's about saying, this is what I've got. I'm here because I genuinely believe in my product. You're interested, and I just want to tell you how cool it is. If you're not into it, that's all good. You've only wasted 15 minutes of your time and of my time. You've learned it's not right. That's all good. But if you get someone in that sales call, discovery call, whichever, just be yourself, be confident in your offer and your product because you believe in it. You're doing it for a reason. And that's all you need to put across. Ultimately, that is it. In the beginning, I said, if you can understand your customer's problem, your potential customer's problem, you don't necessarily have to sell the solution. They just need to believe that you understand them and their pain points perfectly.
Yeah, I agree with that. Earlier we spoke about how 90% of all the $1 million creators say authenticity is what made them successful. If you're in a sales call and you feel like this is not you, that means it's not authentic. So what you can do is you substitute the word sales with soul. So it becomes a soul call. You connect with the soul on the other side. You have an honest conversation. You can also call it a discovery call. It's also fine. Point is, with that, you actually get out of this mindset that you have to push someone into something, and you actually have a conversation about your product. And as you have done your first, second, third pancake, and you have seen firsthand that it works and what value people get from it and what their pain points were before and how they are now after, it works. So you have confidence. Your confidence grows. And with that confidence, you can have an honest conversation about your product, about the value that you bring to people. And it's much easier then to get a commitment because they can just sense that what you talk about is the truth.
I can jump in here real quick and just add to what you both have said. So like Jarret just said, a lot of people are afraid of the sales call, right? Because they're not salespeople. And I think one of the things that they struggle with is imposter feelings. Like a lot of our creators, they know that they can help their clients. They believe that they really want to, and they know they have all the tools, but they're not really sure in how to deliver it. Like I recently came across this one creator who was doing really well with the Expert Unleashed challenge. She had everything down. She had her niche down and she was all ready to launch. And then she froze. She said, I'm second guessing everything. I'm second guessing my niche, myself, whether I can deliver it, whether I'm going too big, how much I've priced it. And it's just, she just froze. And I feel like it comes down to them just being reminded of what they're doing and the fact that having this conversation with a potential client is not them selling per se, but just telling them, like Jarret said, of how cool this thing is that they've worked on and how it's going to solve their problems if they just give it a shot. So I think in terms of the imposter feelings, that's kind of where our community comes into it, because I've seen these beautiful interactions where someone will put out their offer and they'll say, this is what I've charged, but I'm afraid I'm going too big. Am I going too big? And then someone else will pop in and say, your offer looks amazing. You have so many bonuses. If anything, you're underselling yourself and you need to be charging more. And I think it's just a matter of putting yourself out there that first time and getting some feedback from either the community or fellow creators or just seeing what's out there. And I think that once they get over those imposter feelings and take that first leap to put themselves out there, that's when the real magic starts happening, because they realize that there are people out there who value what they have to offer.
I agree. I would add to this. If you feel that you're stuck in perfection paralysis, where you try to make everything pixel perfect, it's also a sign that shows that you don't have the confidence yet. So you're like, oh shit, this is not good enough, which is imposter, what you just explained. And I think a good example here is at Passion Live, the last event where we had, there was a customer. She did over the last 12 months, 12K. So 1K a month. And then at Passion Live, she worked with the coaches and the team to sell high tickets effectively and to do what's required to jump on these discovery calls. Within 72 hours after the event, she sold for $12,000 product. So that means in 3 days, she made the same amount of money that she made in the whole year before. And it's not that missing feature. even if she would have had 3,000 other features and everything would have been pixel perfect, like still it would have been not such a difference or not such an impact then having all of a sudden the digital confidence to do what is required in order to succeed and do the job. So yeah, like working is again like this personal development angle, right? The moment when you work on yourself and you level up, that's how you unlock the actual success. It's not the feature that is missing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm even at a point now with some of my customers I've been working with for going on 2.5 years now, and we've built their app with them in Plus. We've got it live. They've made money, right? But they're relaunching a big program. And my biggest role in their journey right now is holding them accountable to a social media plan, right? It's just about like doing it, right? You've got the plan, you've got the tools, your program rocks. You've already proven that because you've made money. You just need to follow through, right? You just need to do it. So it's that accountability factor, Andrea, you alluded to with the community, right? Like your offer is most likely banging. It's probably perfect. Even if you do have that imposter syndrome that it's not, right? And going back to the other example I gave earlier about the person who overtried and tried and tried, he built all these bonuses and has his first high ticket sale. This person has said, that's a lot of value. I would have paid more. And I hear that echoed so much through all our creators. So yeah, lean into the accountability where you can, whether it be in the Plus, whether it be in the community, whether it be your mom, your daughter, your brother, it doesn't matter, right? An accountability partner can really go a long way.
That's right. I mean, I can personally relate to this just do it thing, especially, like there's a couple of things that are my comfort zone. That means I'm comfortable in doing them. It's quite easy. And then there's these things where I'm not so confident, right? Maybe I'm imposter over there and I really have this anxiety, maybe that someone is judging me and I don't know what it is, or that's not good enough and everyone's looking at me like, holy shit, this cannot go out like that. And like getting to my first YouTube video or first post was a fucking nightmare. Like it's crazy. But then I realized I actually cannot make it great by trying to make it perfect. It needs to go out. And then when launching it and seeing then how it actually does, I learn so much more. I can so much quicker than do a second version, which will be so much better than if I would not have launched. It's almost like back in the days in the club, right? Like the worst thing is you don't approach the girl. You approach her and either she said yes or she says no. If she says no, that's good because then, you have learned something. And next time, like you maybe do a conversation better or I don't know what you do, but you have to do it. And I don't know how to get there mindset wise. It's definitely this anxiety is holding all of us back, but that's where the solution is. The problem is the solution. If you embrace the anxiety and you deal with it, it becomes part of your comfort zone. That means your comfort zone grows and you become more confident. And that's how you can conquer the whole planet. That's how you grow. So if you want to learn and grow, feel your anxieties and whatever it is required to change it. Even if it's painful. It's supposed to be painful. That's like what it is. That's like life's happening for you, not to you. And this pain is there to make you grow. So be aware of that, embrace it, do it.
Agreed. I think if you're not feeling any sort of like uncomfortable feelings, like we would all be doing it then, right? If it was that easy that everyone felt great, like everyone would be a creator, but they're not. But you're in the seat, ready to do it. So do it. Right?
Yeah.
Like let's do it. Like you can do it.
The reason why you're not making $1 million right now is because you don't know how to make $1 million. If you would know and feel and like would be easy and comfortable to make $1 million, you would make $1 million. Like it's that easy. So in order to get there, to make the $1 million, you have to go through some pain and eventually you will get there. But if you're not willing to go through the pain, you're not going to get there and make $1 million. You can just, I don't know. It's what it is. So what you can do though, is you can aggravate the pain. You can really elevate it and make it so painful that there's no other chance than changing it. That's also like why people go to Tony Robbins, Unleash the Power Within. You get, there's something called the Dickens process. It essentially is a dark environment where they turn on the lights. Everyone is like in this NLP thing and they make you go in the pain so deep. They stack it on top that there's no chance to not do it, and then they pair it with a big vision, and then you get out of it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, this has to change now, otherwise I'm going to die. Yeah, if you're like at that point, then that's where I need to be in order to really change it. And I think some of the most successful people I have seen, they always think if they're not doing something, they're going to die. Because, like if I don't approach her, then I will be alone, then I will sleep under the bridge, then I will never have children, no one will like me, I won't have friends, and I will ultimately die. Whatever, right? Like you can always like go in your head on this thing to die. And then if you like really feel this and go deeper, then I think you have a good chance to actually change, and paired with a big vision, then you can get there. And always remember, the grass is not green on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. So water the fucking grass now, do it, and thank us later.